true impact of blindness. The true impact of blindness. When you hear the word blind, what do you think of? That you can't see. Yes? All right. So we take it that we can't see. But what does it mean not to see? Absence of light. All right. Yes, you were saying? Oh, we could pass around the microphone here. That is why we have it. Yeah? Huh?
Just raise your hand.
Right.
Not be able to do and see certain things.
Not being able to do and see certain things. All right? Right? Anything else? All right. Okay. Now, blindness can be considered in the physical sense, that I can't see things. But you know, there's a lady that I met. She was quite a young girl and she was skiing. I met her in Florida and she was skiing and she broke her back. And so she's wheelchair bound. And I remember that in chatting with her, and she was sharing with me how she became wheelchair bound. And she said, you know, Michael, people keep feeling sorry for me because I'm crippled. I am challenged physically. But I feel so much more sorry for the people who are challenged mentally. Because she still does everything that she does. She still goes skiing in her wheelchair. They put on the wheelchair and they have this thing that they hook up on it that she can still, and she goes. Her life still continues. And she says there are people who can walk and are very mobile and they will not do a lot of things. She said, I feel sorry for those people. We feel sorry for blind people. But what about the people who are blind and yet have eyes to see? Where they just cannot see at all. So I want to really talk today about the true impact of blindness. And wonder if we are sitting here today blind and did not know that we're blind. You know the worst type of blindness is blind and you have no idea that you're blind. Yeah? So, let's take the first one. Matthew chapter 15 verse, and we'll just read quickly verses 1 through 14. Matthew chapter 15. When you have it, say amen. All right. Some of them still downloading. All right. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees which were of Jerusalem, saying, this is what they are saying. Why do thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat. We have a problem with your people, Jesus, because it is customary and traditional that people wash their hands when they eat. And your disciples seem to ignore that tradition. But he answered and said unto them, why do you also transgress the commandment of God by your traditions? You have traditions that you give more emphasis on, but the commandments of God you ignore. This is what he said. For God commanded, saying, honor your father and your mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But you say, whosoever shall say to his father or mother, it is a gift, which means they were supposed to support their father and mother. And you are saying, the thing that I am using to support my parents, I am using it as a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. So therefore, I think that the fact that I'm taking care of you, you should be happy. Are you getting what I'm saying? I don't take it as a responsibility to take care of my parents. I take it, you should be a gift, taking it from me. So therefore, don't make me demands of me. And he says, you look at it as a gift, by whatever thou mightest be profited by me. And you do not honor your father or your mother, therefore he shall be free. Now, I even hear parents saying, you see, all take care of ourselves. When I get old, all don't take care of me, you know. All make sure all take care of ourselves. That is a wrong concept. You are supposed to take care of your parents. Me children here? All you hear me? Yes, even if, you see? Because children are an heritage of the Lord. You are our investment for our future. This is why blessed is the man that has his quiver full of them. Because if you have one child to take care of you in your old age, how much burden is that on that one child? But if your quiver is full and you have 8, I met a gentleman, he has 15 children for one wife. So when 15 children divide up the expense now that he's old, because at the time I met him he was already old and experiencing illness, is no burden on 15 children. You use the microphone because I think the people on Facebook need to hear that, because I think what they're talking about is real.
What I was saying is that sometimes only one of the 15 or 8 children or how much ever you have, that is the one all the burden comes on, the rest don't even bother.
That's the unfortunate thing about it. And so we have to find a way to change that. But we have to start inculcating it into our children so that they will look forward to doing it. Many parents are now put into home of the aged. And yes, there are some circumstances that may allow for that. But we can afford to now get away from that if we plan for our parents and we allow our parents to take care and to plant that into our lives.
How do you do that with the millenniums that are coming up?
By talking about it, sharing with them, re-teaching on it. It is a joy. If your parents have sacrificed so much, you know what it is to sacrifice a lot for your children, and then you need something and your children feel it is too much. How can 2 parents, and in many cases, 1 parent, take care of 4 and 6 children, educate all of them, take care of them, and 4 and 6 children cannot take care of 1 parent? So therefore, let us not go after the way of the world managing the system, and that's why we're in the state that we are in now. You understand? So, he said, this is your tradition. Your tradition says forsake your parents. And yet you tell me about washing hands? The thing about being blind, which we will want to come to in just a while, as he gone down, ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah say of you, these people dress nigh unto me with their mouth, honor me with their lips, but their heart far from me. And he called him but in vain they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men, because blindness comes out of doctrine. And so whenever you have people who are blind in doctrine, we teach for doctrine the things that man commands. And this is what he continues to say. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand, not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou, did you know that the Pharisees took offense to what you just said? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. It is possible to be blind scripturally. And a lot of us were blind scripturally. We just did not know better. But we were blind. The thing about blindness is blindness obscures reality. So the man who is blind has no idea, let's say the person who is born blind, has no idea the reality of the color green He can imagine it. But it obscures reality. So when people are believing false doctrine, they are blind because the real doctrine they have no understanding of. And that's why a lot of them cannot assimilate and cannot understand why we do and why we say what we do. Yeah? And so whenever that takes place, here's two things. Number one, you can be genuinely blind. You don't have to be a hypocrite to be blind. You could be genuinely blind following something that is wrong. So here's how he says, tradition trumps what I command. And this thing about, we've always spoken about this Christmas thing and so on. The tradition of Christmas is so powerful that people will only see the need to come to church during Christmas, Easter, and so on, because the tradition is so powerful that it trumps God's command that he says upon the first day of the week. We will do anything. We'll find the money to nice up house, buy ham, buy turkey, and everything. Try to raise funds to help out somebody any other time of the year. Boy, things so hard, I can't really help out that person and so on. Because it's not genuine. The blind leaders are blind. But people are sincerely going down the wrong road. Yes.
So if somebody genuinely blind towards the scriptures, they would genuinely end up in hell.
That's right. Because here's what. This comes me to the next one. You could be genuinely blind, and the person who's teaching you wrong could be sincerely blind. Because they could be sincerely telling you the wrong thing. But here's what he says. If the blind lead the blind, they both, in their sincerity and their genuineness, shall fall into the ditch.
But what if in the same concept as the person who is leading knows right, but is purposefully leading you wrong?
Right. They will still go into the ditch. Because they are still blind. Because it obscures reality. Because that person does not plan to go into the ditch, Even though they know what they're doing. There are people who break into homes, but don't plan to go to jail. Yeah. You know what you're doing is wrong, but you did not plan for the jail. So, when I was speaking to some boys who are incarcerated in one of the other islands, and I went in there and I saw these 14, 13, 12-year-old boys and so on, and I said, when you look at your life now inside of here, is this what you wanted? They said, no. What did you want? Money. What did you want? They wanted gadgets. They wanted things. That's what they wanted. But they ended up with this. I said, then what are you planning to do now? Because there are a lot of people who are doing things. The results they don't want. So those people who are willfully leading people astray did not, in the day of hell, they would never say, yes, this is where I really wanted to come. I'm right where I look for. No. So we've got to recognize it is in our interest not to be blind. It's dangerous being blind. Yeah? So, when you are blind, the ditch is unavoidable. Because you will fall into the ditch. I know of no blind person who has said, I have never bounced into anything yet. Because you will. Those of us who see, still bouncing into things. Yeah? Because we bounce into things that we did not see. You ever bounce your head? Bounce your toe on a furniture? Yeah? Bounce your elbow. Sometimes, have you ever bounced your elbow and feel it in your fingertip? Yeah, yeah. You didn't see. The wall bounces into you. Yes, we need to remove that wall and put it somewhere else. So, if somebody is advising you on money management and they don't know how to manage money, you will see what will happen with your finances. Yeah? I was speaking with somebody yesterday and they were telling me that, they were going a certain way with their money. And this person came up to them and advised them, no, don't do that, and so on. And they took it and recognized now it led them to do the wrong tracks. They say, Mike, I want to now go back to the old way that I was doing it because it was working. So my question is, did the person who advised you, did they have a better result in their financial life than you do? No. Then why did you take their advice? Well, they just felt it was a different advice. This is why the Bible says, blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sit in the seat of the sinners, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the right. But his delight is in the law of God. All you know the Bible. That is why I don't need to read it. Right? But watch who you're getting your advice and your counsel from. So when it comes to money, get advice from somebody who has a better financial result than you do. Because the blind is going to sincerely give you an advice. Here's what happens. A lot of people whose marriage is going through trouble take advice from people whose marriage going through trouble. Sorry? Or who not married. That's right. Frustrated people tell you all of these things. And you hear people talk about, okay, but no, leave it. Don't do that and so on. I would never let somebody do me that and so on. And their situation is no better. That is blind leading the blind. So, advice on money matters, relationships, etc. So that is one. The blind and cannot see is the first point. The second one is blind but can see. And that is Mark chapter 10, 46 to 52. Mark 10, 46 to 52. And they came to Jericho. He went up to Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus. They even give him a nickname now. First he blind long. Sometimes when people in a state long enough, the name start to follow them. I was listening to a death announcement, and it went something like this. Stewart Abraham, better known as jump through window. Now, it has had to have something that significantly took place in jump through window's life for him to land up with his name on that news. So, of course, you could start to imagine all the things that would have caused him to have had a name such as that. But the reason they put that is this. His nickname may be more known than his real name. So when you say Stewart Abraham, they say, who is he? Oh, jump through window. I wonder what is your nickname? What do you people call you? Anybody here has a nickname? Yes, you have a nickname? You want to share the nickname or you want to keep it? Darky? Yeah? I wonder why they call you Darky. Ah! Okay, all right. There's an old man, and even though many times I don't see him for years, I saw him again this year after I haven't seen him must be for 7, 8 years. And he always calls me Little Jesus. For years, Little Jesus. I don't know what, Well, I became a Christian at 13, so. And after 7 years, I see him in this function. Little Jesus, how you doing? And another one calls me the archangel, and that is only because I suspect, because my first name is Michael. Michael the archangel. So he says Michael the archangel and so on. But there are some people with some wicked nickname. You know, Joseph in the Bible had a nickname. Here comes the dreamer. Yeah, he had a nickname. So I wonder what people come up with as our nickname. What is it that runs through their head with the nickname that they come up? One of the things with the young people, they have some bad nicknames. And I don't know why they even respond to them. But they seem almost proud of some of these nicknames. Yeah? So, sometimes you're watching the news and they say this person was shot and so on. And when you listen to the name that they call the person who was shot, then you tell yourself, but you wonder whether it isn't a lifestyle that caused them to be in a situation such as this. You see? So we've got to try and change the kind of image that we have. Or Facebook names. Have you seen some of the names people use as their sobriquet for Facebook? So some of them would send you friend requests, and I'm not accepting you with a friend request with some of those names. You see? I'm not going to call some of them now because they may be watching us on live. So, the Bible says, he came to Jericho, and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the wayside doing what? Begging. Begging for what? Money. I want you to keep in mind this begging thing. He's begging for money, because I want to refer to it a bit later on. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, when he heard, I am here begging, you all have money? I could get at $5, I could get at $10. He is begging for money. But when he heard it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and said, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And many charged him that he should hold his peace, but he cried the more. Great deal. Thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood up and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, Be of comfort, rise, he calleth thee. And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, What wilt thou that I should do to thee? What was he begging for before? Money. This is what the blind man said when he now asked, What is it you want? The blind man said unto him, Lord, that I might do what? Receive my sight. What changed? And here's what the message is. He's begging for money. When he saw it was Jesus, what he's begging for changes. Because he was begging for what man could provide. When he saw Jesus, he's begging now for what man could not provide. You all with me? Sometimes people are looking for things. Join the church. And I use that word join loosely. And still want the things. The things you didn't need to join the church for that. You didn't need to come to God for that. Man could provide you all of that. Man could provide you a job. Man could provide you money. Man could provide you a partner. Man could provide you a house. They could provide you all of that. But when you come to God, he was bright enough. He was blind, but he could see. He had enough sense to know that if I could see, I could make money. So I need not ask God for money because he can provide sight. So when we come to God, we change what we ask for and say, I want a relationship with God. If I get that relationship with God and I seek first the kingdom, that is why it says, if you seek first the kingdom, all those other things, house, land, money, things to eat, clothes to wear, and so on, will be added unto me. And that's why when people come to church, many people looking to get attached to a church, not for what God can provide for them, but still what man can provide. And when they don't get what man can provide, they're gone. Because they have not changed what they're looking for. Are you all on board? That was quite deep. What Brother Andy George say? I should have heard that. Amen. And we are, what? No, it's Brother Morvan, Brother Joey. You all missed a good amen right there. Yes. So, he was blind, but can see. And that is not a bad position to be in. Physically blind, but mentally, psychologically, intellectually, you can see clearly. So it's not your physical situation that you are to be distressed about. It's where's your mind. You know, there are people who are poor financially, rich in spirit. Met a man in Jamaica. He had tractors and trucks and hardware and so on, and went bankrupt. So I met him when he had gone bankrupt and was about to build his life back. And I'm always amazed at stories that people go through in their life, because that has some powerful messages in it. And he says, sir, let me tell you, I was filthy rich, but I became poor. But what I had in me to have become rich is still in me. So I'm going to get it all back. Now, he is not as poor as his account. He's rich as his spirit is. And sometimes I think that we are so poor in spirit. But some people are rich in their account, and his spirit is so poor. So he's blind physically, but he can see. And I would like to think that we'll have people who have eyes to see. Because he that hath eyes to see, let him see. And I want us to be able to see that every bad situation we are in, we can come out. I don't care what the situation is. And if you listen to some people of some situation that they have been in, and you can't believe what they did to tunnel them their way out of that situation, how God has brought them out of it and so on. So this is why it's sometimes it's good to sit down with some people and just listen to their stories. And then you say, wow, you know,